So you feel like you've had some glimpses or even a full-blown awakening. Perhaps it was recently, perhaps it was a while ago, but now you're not sure what to do next. Maybe you wonder whether you should have any goals in life, but you're reluctant to fully embrace those goals because you think that might be against the non-duality philosophy or more falling for the illusion again. Maybe you feel like you've lost a lot of motivation recently, either feeling like non duality teachers are saying you should have no desires and just be happy with nothing because there's no one here anyway, or in realizing that most of your goals were ego driven and that you've seen through that whole facade now anyway. Or perhaps you think, if I'm awakening to the fact that there's no doer, doesn't that mean I can't do anything? And anything that I try to do is just more of the illusion? So, what to do after awakening? Let's answer these questions in comprehensive detail so that you're never wondering again. The first thing to establish is, what exactly are we apparently waking up to? Because this can vary greatly depending on what non duality videos you've been watching and who you've been listening to. A true holistic non dual message communicates awakening as not that there's simply no one here, and so you and everyone else is some kind of lifeless puppet in a pointless dream. Not that there's simply no doer, no choice, and no free will, and so you are doomed to be a pre programmed robot with no choice. And not that life is simply meaningless and pointless, and so there's no real point to doing anything. A true holistic non dual message communicates awakening as one, we are at our core this one infinite consciousness, this beingness that is the source and substance of all that appears, this which is always present and independent of all experience is our true and ultimate nature. Two, essentially, you are not just a person. You are this infinite beingness that's manifesting right now as 8 billion human experiences along with the entire universe. Three, within this infinite non dual expanse, countless unique expressions of consciousness arise, including our own individual experience. These expressions are not separate from the all, they are the all appearing in infinite unique ways. 4. So, while at the ultimate and absolute level, there is only impersonal consciousness, this beingness that can appear as anything, at the relative level, there is the undeniable appearance of personhood, choice, and meaning. Both levels are simultaneously true and necessarily acknowledged. 5. Awakening is not about dismissing or devaluing the relative, but rather about recognizing it as the play of the absolute. It is about seeing the person as a beautiful, unique, vibrant, and integral expression and dance of a multiverse in motion. 6. From this recognition, we can engage with life from a place of greater ease, joy, and freedom. Not because life is inherently meaningless, but because we are no longer confined by the identity of a limited sense of self and the meaning that we've had pre programmed into our minds. 7. We recognize that the ultimate reality of simple beingness is beyond all concepts of meaning, need, or purpose. But paradoxically, we are then free to create our own meaning and purpose, informed by our understanding that we are all ultimately one dreamer, dreaming this collective dream. And what we do to others, we do to ourselves. And so we may be inclined to embrace a life of deeper compassion, connection, community, creativity, co creation, and service to others. We are free to embrace the will of the one consciousness, which appears to be headed towards creating a kind of heaven on earth through a painful birthing process. 8. We see the world not as an independent entity outside of our control, but as a reflection of the concepts, ideas, and beliefs in our consciousness. We see it as an outpicturing, a projection of our own mind, the imagination of beingness. 9. We see the true power not in believing ourselves to be separate, limited people who are needy and therefore need to think everything through and struggle to get things, but in knowing ourselves as infinite beingness, the infinitely imaginative power. 10. We operate less as a personal feeling individual trying to manipulate the world to our favor, and more so as a spontaneous dance of the all, allowing our imagination to dream up the most fanciful of heart desires, unattached to their fruition, and yet intelligently responding to intuitive leads along the path to their manifestation. So in awakening, we don't lose our humanity, we expand it. We don't negate our individuality, we see it in a larger context. We don't stop engaging with life, we engage more freely and creatively, unconstrained by the illusion of separation. We know life to be the spontaneous unfolding dance of the one consciousness, and that we are this dance. However, you might ask, but if I'm awakening to the fact that there's no doer, then surely this means that there's nothing left to do, or that I can't do anything anyway because there's no control. Well, this is a great question and a common point of confusion for many people exploring non-duality. The realization that there is no individual doer can indeed initially feel like it negates the possibility or importance of action. However, this is a misinterpretation based on a subtle dualistic assumption. The idea that the absence of an individual doer means there's nothing to do or that you can't do anything is based on the assumption that action requires an individual agent. But let's look at this more closely. Even before the realization of no doership, was there ever really an individual entity controlling and directing all of the actions? Or were actions simply happening spontaneously, with the mind claiming ownership after the fact? The truth is, actions have always been happening without an individual doer. The body breathes, the heart beats, thoughts arise, and the universe moves, all without an individual controller behind the scenes. Awakening to non-doership doesn't change this fundamental reality. Actions continue to happen, but they are seen for what they have always been, the spontaneous unfolding of the one consciousness. So it's not that you can't do anything, it's that the very idea of you doing something is ultimately seen through. Ultimately, there is only really doing happening without a separate, limited individual controlling it all. Ultimately, there is only beingness appearing as everything, and yet at the same time, this beingness is appearing as beautiful individuality, individual preferences and choices. We still engage with them on the relative level as an apparent individual. It's just that we recognize them as a spontaneous arising of the whole. We don't take them to be our core identity or the essence of who we are. We don't see the actions of our choices leading towards an outcome of freedom or fulfillment, but towards an outcome that manifests as a result of recognizing our inherent freedom and fulfillment. We are free to drop the idea that our incessant thinking and constantly efforting is going to manifest what we want. We are free to open up to the power of unattached imagination. We are free to open up to the possibility that there is a higher aspect of ourself that already knows our deepest heart's desires and has the means to easily manifest them if we would just let go, release our rigid expectations, fears, doubts, limitations, and allow better than we could have ever imagined to manifest. Because there is an intelligence of the whole that operates beyond this personal limited mind. And this realization can be incredibly liberating. Instead of feeling burdened by the idea that an individual you has to control and direct everything, you can relax into the natural flow of life, allowing actions to arise spontaneously from the intelligence of the whole. And this doesn't mean becoming passive or disengaged, you see. In fact, the recognition of no doer can lead to a more authentic and uninhibited form of action, free from the hesitation and the doubt of the egoic mind, free from the pre programmed beliefs and dogmas, free from the exhausting energy drain of a limited mind, spinning in circles, stressing out all the time, free to channel the infinitely abundant energy of beingness into activities that heal, enrich the soul, and celebrate the revelation of yourself as the dreamer of the whole universe. So the invitation is to relax into this revelation, allowing life to unfold through you in its own natural and intelligent way, intelligently flowing and responding to insights, inspirations, and things that make this a more beautiful dream for us all. This is the essence of what it means to live in alignment with non dual realization. But you may ask, what if I have individual desires? Within this model, can I still see imagination as the true power and purposefully use the faculty of imagination to create reality? Well, this is a profound and nuanced question that points to the heart of the paradox of non dual realization and individual desire. From the absolute perspective of non duality, all desires, thoughts, and actions are seen as appearances within consciousness, not belonging to any separate entity. However, from the relative perspective, the appearance of individual desires and the power of imagination to shape reality are undeniable experiential realities. Even after awakening, these experiences continue to arise within consciousness. The first thing to recognize is that there is a big fundamental difference between egoic desires and desires that arise in the imagination of consciousness. One is coming from the paradigm that you are a separate limited individual that needs something to be whole. The other is coming from a new, awakened paradigm, a recognition that you're already whole and unlimited, and your beautiful vision for the world expresses this truth. You are now free to see these individual desires and imaginative powers in their true context, as expressions of the one consciousness rather than the properties of a limited separate self. In other words, it's not that you, as an individual, are using imagination to brute force an external reality to conform to your desires, or that you are an individual who can vibrate at a certain frequency to somehow magnetically attract things from the external world to you, but rather that you are the one consciousness, the one dreamer, exploring and expressing itself through the faculty of imagination, which appears as an individual power. You start to see the correlations between what's imagined in simply being and what appears in your dreams and what appears in the apparent external 3D world. You recognize them as interconnected energy systems that feed each other and are ultimately one. In this sense, the purposeful use of imagination to create reality can be seen as a way in which consciousness plays with and explores its own infinite potential as anything else. It's not a contradiction to no doership, but rather a recognition of how no doership appears in the realm of relative experience. As you rest more fully into the recognition of your true nature as consciousness itself, you may find that the desires and imaginings that arise naturally align with the evolutionary impulse of the whole. You become a conduit for the creative unfolding of reality rather than a limited entity trying to manipulate and control it. You can trust that there is a higher intelligence at work that works through your mind and imagination. Imagine your individual mind less as a self-contained entity with its own linear narrative, and more like a radio receiver receiving thoughts and ideas and visions from the larger field of consciousness. There are choices to be made on the relative level, and you can choose to align with the thoughts, ideas, and visions that represent your true nature best, that represent peace, love, co creation, and the recognition that we're all one. These visions may manifest as an impulse to create a new business or an art project aligned with a non dual understanding of reality. You may choose to inject your current career with the flavor of this truth. You may choose to share this message with others, or you may choose to have no friends and live in a cave in silence. But I doubt you're going to do that. The likelihood is you're going to have some deep heart desires that are gradually becoming clearer as the old egoic desires and needs are being disidentified with and are falling away. You'll know them when you see them, because they will be expansive, bigger than your fears, and in service of other people as well as yourself. And so, what to do after awakening? The journey of integration and embodiment begins. While the fundamental realization of our true nature is instantaneous, the process of aligning our lived experience with this understanding can be a gradual unfolding. So here's a few key aspects to consider. 1. Resting in the recognition of your true nature. The foundation of post-awakening life is abiding in the recognition of your true nature as this infinite consciousness appearing. For some, this could be an instant recognition that puts an end to all ideas of separation instantly. But what's more likely is that you'll be regularly allowing your attention to expand and zoom out beyond the mind and its constructs to this ever-present reality of beingness and simply what's appearing. 2. Clearing the body and mind, because even after awakening, residual tensions, contractions, emotional wounds, and traumas are most often still present in the body and mind. These are the conditioned patterns accumulated over a lifetime, and they may not instantly dissolve with realization. Engaging in processes like body-centered practices, emotional release work, and other therapies can help clear these residues, allowing the light of consciousness to shine more fully through the human instrument. 3. Integrating into daily life. Awakening is not about escaping from the world, but about bringing this revelation of our true nature into every aspect of our life. This means being fully engaged in relationships, work, creativity, and service, but from a place of spacious awareness rather than egoic attachment. It's about allowing the natural compassion, wisdom, and intuition of our being to guide our actions in the world. 4. Conscious creation. As we rest more fully into the recognition of our true nature, we may find a natural impulse to create, express, and contribute to the world in alignment with our deepest values and inspirations. This is the path of conscious creation, using the power of our intention and attention to shape our reality, not from a place of lack or need, but from a place of fullness and service. This may involve pursuits like creative projects, entrepreneurship, social activism, or any other form of inspired action. 5. Continued exploration and discovery. While the fundamental realization of awakening is complete in itself, there is always a further unfolding and deepening available. This may involve continually exploring and discovering new aspects of awakening and their implications. The journey of awakening is ultimately a journey of never-ending discovery, as the infinite continually reveals itself in infinitely new ways. Ultimately, and paradoxically of course, what to do after awakening is a deeply personal journey guided by your own unique inclinations and circumstances. The key is to allow your actions and creations to arise spontaneously from the wellspring of your being, rather than the dictates of the egoic mind. As you rest more fully in the recognition of your true nature, the appropriate actions and expressions will naturally emerge. Seasons will come and go, and it will all be in service of a greater unfolding of consciousness. For more information on how you can fully embody awakening, you can search for my video, How to Release Stuck Emotions and Traumas After Awakening. And for one-on-one coaching inquiries, only for those serious about full transformation, go to speaktoalex.com. See you in the next video. Peace.